Hello everybody, welcome to the Nothing But Football radio show that isn't actually on the radio at the minute, with myself, Alex Smith.
And me, Alfie Lambert.
Myself and Alfie are currently back at university. We'd hoped to have been going live on air in the studios this month, but unfortunately we're unable to do that because we find ourselves back in lockdown. However, we have improvised. We made a little setup at home and we're able to record makeshift. We do live together, so we are COVID secure. First of all, we just want to thank everybody who's showed us support, liked, followed us on various social media platforms. I think we reached just under 100 followers in the first few days of going live, which is incredible, and we can't thank you enough. If you want to
thank you very much for that. It's very much appreciated.
So anyway, on today's show, we're going to preview this weekend's upcoming Premier League action, including the massive game at Anfield, where the top two face off. Then we'll be looking at all things EFL as we check out what's going on in the Championship Leagues 1 and 2. And then we'll head north of the border as we discuss the nightmare season that Celtic are having, and then on the polar opposite, that how well Rangers are doing. And then we'll be having a little discussion at the end about whether in this current climate football should actually be happening at the moment. But before all that, we're going to be reacting to last week's FA Cup action and assessing the draw that was made just before the Stockport-West Ham game on Monday night. So, Alfie, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right, let's get into it then. So, we'll start with Arsenal. They were made to work for it in the end.
Yeah, it was. Well, I don't know if you watched the game, but it definitely, it wasn't brilliant, was it? No. I mean, it's what you'd expect sort of from Steve Bruce's Newcastle, holding on for probably on for penalties in the end, really, after the way they were playing. They could have won it as well. I mean, Andy Carroll missing a massive chance. I know he's flagged offside, but with VAR there, if he slots that away, that's the game won. So massive save from Leno at the end. He had two actually, didn't he?
Yeah.
He had two big chances at the end. Sorry. But now, obviously, Leno kept us in the game, brought us on extra time. I mean, once Emil Smith-Rowe had that red card overturned, you just knew he was going to score, didn't you?
Yeah. Exactly.
And what a brilliant finish from the young lad. And then it was really nice to see Alba get on the score sheet after the drought he's had in recent weeks. But no, we want the game I'd have hoped for, but I mean, we'll take the win through to the next round. So.
Exactly. I think, like you say, you know what to expect from Newcastle, the way they're going to come and set up, and I'm sure, you know, with what's happened this week, Newcastle are a team we're probably going to talk quite a lot about later on in the 100%,
show. Yeah.
So elsewhere in the FA Cup, again, Everton were made to work for it against Rotherham.
Taking them to extra time.
Yeah, fantastic effort from the Millers there. My team were unfortunately knocked out. I booked the hotel at Wembley in May for absolutely no reason. By the looks of it, no, Norwich was a tough game. I wasn't really expecting much from it.
It's going to be, wasn't it?
We actually played quite well, to be fair. But the game was over as soon as Norwich scored the 2 goals. But focus on the league and staying up. Not really much to talk about in that game. Blackpool beating West Brom.
Yeah.
How bad a day at the minute?
West Brom, poor. I mean, like we said, we criticised the decision for sacking of Slaven Bilic. And then obviously Big Sam came in, got the point at, it was Liverpool, wasn't it? He got the point at first game in his, was it Liverpool?
When his first game, it was his first one,
yeah. Obviously he's come in and then they've been so poor recently, and I mean the way they're playing, it's an embarrassing result to get knocked out to a League One side, isn't it? I mean now you put odds on favourites getting that, well, odds on with Sheffield United. I mean even they're picking points up at the minute. So
again, you know, a few of the Premier League teams were made to work for their progress into the next round. Stockport gave West Ham a very good game.
Yeah.
We watched that, proper cup tie, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, brilliant. And yeah, Stockport played really well, I thought. Like I say, West Ham didn't put out a bad side.
No.
And for a non-league team, they made them work for it, like you say.
Newport holding Brighton to penalties.
I mean, we know what they're like in the FA Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we were gutted. I mean, why wasn't Kevin Ellison taking a penalty? That's what we want to know.
And then Man United, again, made to work by Watford. So I think, you know, a few of the Premier League sides...
We didn't speak about the Liverpool game.
We'll come on to that in a sec.
Oh.
But Leicester, do you fancy them for the FA Cup this year? Convincing win away to Stoke?
Yeah, I mean, you got to put them up there. They're not doing well. They're not doing too bad in the league, are they? I think the FA Cup is one of them ones you never know who's going to win it. So yeah, you can't rule them out of winning it, no.
Right, let's get on to the major talking points of last week's FA Cup action. Let's start off at Villa Park.
Oh, what a brilliant game!
What a good effort from the young Villa lads there.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wrote them off first. I know you put 10-0, and a lot of people wrote, especially with Liverpool scoring so early on. But what a brilliant goal it was! I mean, they were playing football like they weren't scared to play. And I mean, up until Liverpool's second goal went in, I wouldn't have ruled them out of it. But once Liverpool scored again, I mean, you could tell they were tired.
Yeah, I think players started pulling up towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the scoreline didn't reflect the game. But I mean, when you've got players like Salah and Mane playing against sort of some under 18s players, you'd have expected them to put a few past them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, fantastic effort from Villa's youngsters. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more of their names in a couple of years' time. Other talking points, Chorley. I mean, again, it's a similar situation with Derby. You can't, it was. I think Chorley were actually bookmakers' favourites to win that game, but still to get to the fourth round for Chorley, fantastic achievement.
On paper, they've beat a championship team. I mean, it's still a massive achievement for them, and like you say, they'll be pleased with it. I mean, you've seen the celebrations after. It's brilliant.
Big up Adele.
Yeah.
Then final talking point really. Oh no, there's two more, I suppose. Crawley, brilliant result. They're excellent.
Yeah, and that they deserved it as well. It wasn't a lucky win. It was they were the better team.
A bit of a battering, really.
Yeah, and like you say, Leeds again, they haven't put out a bad tie.
No.
And the Crawley have turned them over.
And then I think the major talking point of this FA Cup weekend was Marine facing Tottenham. I think the biggest gulf between any two sides to face off in the FA Cup. A comprehensive win for Spurs in the end, but I think Marine did themselves some justice. Could have gone 1-0 up. But in the end, a fantastic effort, and them and Chorley have really put non-league football on the map for this season. I suppose.
Exactly. I mean, you put it in perspective, they're eighth tier of football. I mean, they've made Vinicius take he's done the Mbappe celebration after scoring the first one. I mean, that sort of sums it up, doesn't it?
Right. So the draw. We'll start off with Arsenal. Obviously, you don't actually know who you're going to be playing yet. I think it's Southampton or Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
You presume, no disrespect to Shrewsbury, it's probably going to be Southampton.
Well, especially with they've had the COVID situation.
I think that game is taking place at some point next week. So.
Yeah.
But a tough draw if you have to play Southampton.
100%. I mean, sort of the way we've started playing recently, I think we'd have more of a chance. I mean, the thing is, we always turn up in the FA Cup anyway. So I'm not saying I'd be confident, especially the way that Southampton were playing this season. But I'd say that we still are in with a good chance. So yeah, I'm not too fussed about the draw.
It's again the big tie in the fourth round is Manchester United Liverpool.
100%.
Fantastic game. I'd probably make Manchester United favourites for that.
Well, especially the way they've been playing at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, they do look scarily too good in the league.
Yeah.
And it's making me worry a bit.
But I'm sure that'll be a fantastic game at Old Trafford. A couple more interesting ties. Tottenham away to Wycombe. They played each other in the FA Cup before a few years ago.
We didn't even speak about Wycombe in the previous round. I mean, what was it?
4-1 against Preston. Fantastic result.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good tie for them against Tottenham. I'm sure they'll anticipate that. It's a shame, obviously, there can be no fans there. But like I said earlier, Wycombe a few years ago went to White Hart Lane and gave Tottenham a good game. So not necessarily an easy pass for Spurs.
Up top.
Yeah. Cheltenham get a good tie against Manchester City at home. Chorley, Wolves, which I'm sure they'll be really happy with.
Well, we've drawn the winner of that one. Well, I say if
we're not going to talk about the fifth round because it's all confusing.
Yeah, it is.
And then friend of the show, James Coppinger. Watch his interview if you haven't. Very good. Gets a nice draw at London Stadium to face West Ham.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be happy with that one. It's a good draw for them.
Potential giant killings. Well, I say giant killings. Shock results. Blackpool to beat Brighton.
I mean, I don't think Brighton looked too convincing against Newport.
No.
But they have played well this season, so I thought it was a bit of a contrast to that. But, I mean, you can never rule them out. They've already beat one Premier League team. Why can't they beat two?
Yeah, exactly. And then, I think, final game that I'm going to talk about here, I think it'll be a really good game. Two teams who try and play some lovely football in different divisions. Brentford, Leicester, I think that's going to be one of the ties of the round for myself.
Brilliant game that.
Like I say, I not something I particularly enjoy saying, but I think I make Leicester one of my favourites for the FA Cup this season. I think they seem to be taking it quite seriously.
Yeah.
And I don't see why they can't make a run at it.
But then again, you can't rule out Brentford.
No, Brentford on the day, very good side. They've beat Premier League teams before.
Well, semi-finalists in the Carabao Cup.
Gave Tottenham a very good game the other week.
Yeah.
You know, looked convincing against Newcastle, so I'm sure that'll be a brilliant game. Right, Premier League.
we'll go on to it now. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to preview this week's action. Starting off, there's only one place you can. Well, we've got a few derby games this week.
Yeah.
But there's only one place you can start, which is at Anfield. Liverpool versus Manchester United.
Massive game.
Massive game. First time Manchester United have been top of the league after the New Year's since Ferguson retired.
Was it? I know. Is it the first time they've been top since 2017?
Yeah, first time they've been top.
Yeah.
So how do you see Liverpool Man United going?
I mean, I know United are unbeaten in the league away, aren't they? But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at any way the result goes. But I mean, I'm going for a Liverpool win, mate. I think at home their record is just incredible, and despite the injuries, I just think that they'll overcome it. I think they'll win the league still. I don't think United will keep it on all season. Personally, I think they still need a couple more players to sort of to win the league, to boost them.
Yeah.
But I just think Liverpool are just too good under Klopp at home, and I think they'll win.
Would you call it must win for Liverpool?
100%. I think if United win, then that gives them a 6 point gap at the top, and I just think.
I mean, the way Liverpool have been playing recently, Southampton.
I just think they might turn up.
Yeah. Like you say, they could turn up in a big game.
I mean, like I say, it wouldn't surprise me whatever the result is.
I think
United will probably be happy with a draw to be
honest,
and they might play out for it.
Well, I think if United avoid defeat, I think if Liverpool will go top in goal difference if
they will if they win. Yeah.
So I think if United avoid defeat, if you offered them a draw now, I think they'd take it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So your score prediction for Liverpool Manchester United?
God, this is a tough one. I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool.
I'm going to go for the most drab, boring, dull 0-0 draw that you're ever likely to see. I think Manchester United are going to come out with a result at Anfield. I don't think it'll be easy on the eye. I think some of the big games, they're not usually hard, to be fair.
No,
I think it'll be a case of both teams trying not to lose.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw. Second, we're gonna focus our attention to the bottom of the table. Obviously, coming from the Midlands myself, I know fans of both clubs. I know how fierce this rivalry is, and I know they've waited a long time to be there to play each other in the top flight. I think it's first time since 2012, and it's a shame there's no fans there because it's always a good atmosphere. Wolverhampton Wanderers against West Bromwich Albion. Again, we talk about must-win games. West Brom really need to start turning up, don't they?
Oh, 100%. And I mean, looking at that, I can only see one winner, personally. I think Wolves having the home advantage as well. I know without fans they say there isn't any, but I still think Wolves are going to dominate them. I can see them putting a few past them, to be honest. I mean, looking at the way, especially for a big Sam side, the way that they defend is so poor. And I just think that's one of their biggest downfalls is their defence and how many goals they ship. I mean, you look, they have got results sort of throughout the season, against City, Liverpool and Chelsea, but I don't know. I can just see a Wolves win, personally.
I'm going to counter you on this one. I think West Brom are going to get a result. I haven't particularly been impressed with Wolves in the last few weeks. I know a few Wolves fans, and there's a bit of frustration. I don't know what the word is. They're not unhappy, but there's a bit of frustration about the way Wolves are playing at the minute. They got turned over at home the other night, and I feel that West Brom are going to turn up for some reason.
I know. I think
a derby game, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to go Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, West Bromwich Albion 1.
Spot on.
For yourself?
I'm 3-0 Wolves, personally. I think they'll bounce back and get 3 points.
Right. We are going to head to another derby game now. Fulham versus Chelsea, West London derby. Fulham, I mentioned in our Christmas special with the Average Pundits. If you haven't watched it, it is a good watch. So go and take a look. I think Fulham are going to stay up, and I think they've justified my decision though, because Fulham are undefeated. They're all draws. Don't get me wrong, but Fulham are undefeated in 5 now. They were excellent last night.
Yeah,
I watched the game. Chelsea on a bit of a downward path. I can see Fulham winning here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I called it the other week, didn't I, with the Leicester game.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's no reason why not? I mean, like I say, Chelsea been in poor form recently after a really good start to the season, and Fulham the opposite, sort of poor start and starting to get into it. And I mean, like I say, they're still in the bottom three, but I'm pretty sure they've got 2 games in hand on the teams around them. And I think if they win, it'll be a massive win in any situation, but especially that'll take them out of the bottom 3, and it'd be a massive confidence boost for the team. So, like I say, Chelsea are there for the taking.
Yeah, exactly. I think I think you have to give so much credit. Fulham were told that they were playing that game last night on Monday. Next to no time to prepare for it. After 2 weeks off, they've still got players self-isolating, I think, and again, a really good effort away to Spurs. Scott Parker seems to be, I know you've been highly critical of him in the past, but he seems to be...
Oh, especially this season.
Turning things around.
Yeah.
Fulham. So, score prediction, I'm going to go Fulham 1, Chelsea 0.
I'm going to stick with... I'm going to go for Fulham draw. I'm going to go 1-1.
Right. We'll see. That'll be an interesting game. I'm quite looking forward to watching that on Saturday night, actually. Next, a really interesting, intriguing match between two sides who have been, I wouldn't say the stories of the season, but have been, well, I wouldn't even say surprise packages. I'd say they've been good. They've been really solid sides. Leicester, Southampton. I think that's going to be a really good game.
Yeah, no, I'd like to say both teams are got impressive managers, and they've been playing really well this season. I mean, like I say, Southampton have been a joy to watch. They've been unlucky in a lot of games this season. And like I say, Leicester playing brilliant football. One of your favourites for the FA Cup.
Yeah.
I won't be able to call. I'm going to struggle getting a prediction for this one.
It is going to be a tough game to predict. I can see personally Southampton getting a result. I don't think Vardy's fit for the weekend.
Yeah.
That's what. Then again, Fantasy Premier League's telling me that.
Yeah. Well, you never know with that.
Exactly. They're not really accurate, but it says that Vardy's a doubt. I think Southampton are going to get a result. I'm going to go 2-2.
Do you know what? I'm going to bet. I think Southampton are going to get the win. I'm going to go for 2-1. 2-1 Southampton.
Next game, well, we were going to talk about Villa versus Everton, which actually would have been
a really good game,
to be fair.
Especially Everton are playing brilliant. Well, both teams.
Villa are playing really well as well. Yeah. I was actually looking forward to sitting down and watching that, but obviously Villa's struggles with the virus have been well documented, in that game's being rearranged for a later date. So we'll move on to Manchester City against Crystal Palace. Manchester City, personally, I think are going to win the league. Okay, they were unconvincing against Brighton last night, but I think you have to, how well John Stones and Ruben Diaz are playing together. I'd probably make them the best central defensive partnership in the country at the minute. Palace, I don't know what to make of Palace, because they can turn up one week and the next week they
hopefully they don't turn up. Well, this is obviously this is recorded on Thursday before the game against Arsenal, so they might pull out a result out of the bag tonight. You never know.
You never know.
But that's poor at the minute. I mean, do you know what? I said this in the podcast we did before Christmas. Do you know the game against Liverpool?
Yeah.
I didn't think they looked that bad in the first half, genuinely.
Yeah.
And they had chances against Liverpool, and they could have easily been going in the lead at half time. Yeah, I can't spit it out. And I think the scoreline second half, put it this way, they bent over and Liverpool. Liverpool just destroyed them, and I think that sort of had sort of added to the scoreline.
Yeah.
But like I say, they've been poor recently.
Like I said, I don't know what to make of Crystal Palace. They're going to be. Then I don't think they're going to be anywhere near relegation danger, but I don't think they're going to trouble anybody over.
Then I don't think City have been the team that were last season. They were scoring so many goals. They haven't been scoring as many goals this season, but like you say, their defence is so
much better.
Improved. Yeah, I mean John Stones, like I say, is playing brilliant at the minute.
Yeah.
I know people laughed when people saying that John Stones could come in this season and could be the player to change City because of the mistakes he's made in the past. But with that style of play that City, sort of the passing, there's always going to be mistakes made.
Yeah.
It's a risky style of play, but it pays off for him. And like I say, since the poor starts of the season, they have been a lot better. And I mean, you can only see one result there, can't you?
Yeah,
really?
I think it's going to be. I mean, don't get me wrong, Palace have gone to Manchester City in the last few years and have they've caused upsets. Remember the season that Man City last won the league, Palace won there, didn't they?
That
Josh Townsend's worldie.
Yeah.
I can't see anything other than a convincing Manchester City win. I'm gonna say they're gonna dominate the game, but they're only gonna score 2 goals. I'm gonna go Man City 2, Crystal Palace 0.
I'm going 3-0 City.
Right, next game, Sheffield United versus Tottenham. Sheffield United finally picking up their first win. Spurs not playing that well at the minute.
No.
Can you see Sheffield United getting another result here?
I mean, every single week I think I back Sheffield United for a result. So I'll probably end up putting, especially against Spurs. But, I mean, that win, I think getting the first win of the season will be massive for them. I mean, it's something to build on, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like Chris Wilder as a manager. And I mean, watching them this season, at times, like they have been unlucky. But, I mean, I think Spurs will just be too much for them.
Yeah.
I know they have been playing poor, but they can't, like I said, they can't keep playing.
No.
But I mean, against the Sheffield United side, you can't remember they've got Kane and Son.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that they're going to turn them over.
No.
But I mean, like I say, once they score 1, I think Sheffield United would be impossible for them to break them down personally.
Do you think Spurs are the masters of their own downfall? You know, you look at games this season like last night, Newcastle at home, to name a few. Spurs going 1-0 up, and then typical Mourinho just sitting back and defending
Letting
a 1
Kane
goal lead.
and Son basically do all the work.
Yeah. Do you think they're the masters of their own downfall?
Yeah, in a way. I think the thing is that style of play has been working for this season. But I think at times it is, like I say, sitting on a 1-0 lead. It is
especially
risky
against teams like Newcastle. And
yeah, I mean, you know what Mourinho's like. He builds a defence and it is brilliant. But I mean, when you actually look at that defence, I mean, Eric Dyer, I mean, he is playing well this season, don't get me wrong, but he's not the sort of centre half that will win you the league, is he?
No.
I mean, Alderweireld is, I think he's a brilliant centre half, but he's getting old now, isn't he? He's not what he was sort of 2 seasons ago. He's still playing brilliantly, don't get me wrong, but it's like, I think that defence, they're overachieving in a way. I think they are, like I say, I mean, Kane and Son are both world class and 2 of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many other players in that team are to the level of Kane and Son?
I don't think many. But Spurs, after a brief period where they look like they can make a run to the league, they kind of dropped off a little bit, which kind of shows how crazy the Premier League's been this season. They dropped down to 7th at one point, I'm pretty sure.
United are in something stupid like 13th. Now they're top at the league, 3 points clear.
But I can't see Spurs not winning here. I'm going to go Spurs 1. Well, sorry, Sheffield United 0, Spurs 1.
I'm going to go 2-0 Spurs. I think they'll score 2. I don't think they'll concede.
Right, your boys are the next game that we're going to talk about. Arsenal against Newcastle United at the Emirates, repeat of last week's FA Cup tie. I'm going to start off here. We all know Arsenal turned the corner. I actually think the main talking point in this game is how bad are Newcastle.
Well, poor. I mean, they look. They're literally, Andy Carroll was by far their best player.
He's the best defender.
I mean, we all know he gets his head on everything, but I mean, he was just fantastic, wasn't he? And I mean, it's sort of nice to see him playing. Like, so obviously he's not been featuring much this season, but when he gets a chance, it's nice to show that it'd been nicer for him, not for me. It'd been nicer for him to have scored and sort of won Newcastle the game. I think that would have been like a massive sort of decision for Steve Bruce to play him. But no, like I say, they were just so poor. I mean, the defensively, they're not too bad defensively. No, going forward, they just missed St Maximin so much.
I mean, I don't think you can. I don't know if you watched the game the other night. It was disgusting. It was disgraceful performance.
Yeah,
from Newcastle. I think playing 5-4-1 away to a team. No disrespect to Sheffield United that have not scored many goals this season. They've not really, they've not won a game. They're having a terrible time. And I saw that result coming a mile off. I knew Sheffield United beat Newcastle. Stupidity from Ryan Fraser, which doesn't make the task any easier. But that is not an excuse for how bad Newcastle were.
Oh, no.
This tactic of just lugging it up to Callum Wilson and hoping that he can pull something out of the bag, it's not going to work. And I think it's a minor miracle how Newcastle are 8 points away from the relegation zone.
Well, I think that, like I say, Callum Wilson's a big thankful for that. I mean, what's he on 8 league goals this season, something like that? I know half of them have been penalties, but still, he's been crucial for him. And like you say, when he plays St Maximin, he's the only player in that team that you really look at and you think he's actually exciting to watch. And I think that's one of the things they're missing at the minute, especially is Alan.
Under a bit of pressure, Steve Bruce?
100%. I mean, the fans are really starting to get on his back now.
I mean, I don't think they ever took to Steve. I mean, don't get me wrong, Steve Bruce had such big shoes to fill with Rafa Benitez replacing him. I don't think the fans were necessarily pleased when they got him. And then, last season they did all right. They blew hot and cold, but they are really struggling now. And I think, I would be looking, if I ran Newcastle United, I would be looking to replace Steve Bruce. I think the style of play is just unsustainable.
It's not going to get them.
And they're not even getting the results now. They were playing like this last season and getting results, but it's not working for them. I think they need to look at a change personally. Enough about Newcastle. We'll talk about Arsenal. Really turned the corner.
Yeah, and I mean, we've got Thomas Partey and Gabriel coming back from obviously the injuries and COVID. So I think that's going to be two massive pluses to the team. And I mean, we've turned the corner without them. Obviously, throwing Emil Smith-Rowe and Martinelli back in the team. Obviously, Martinelli looks a serious injury, but thankfully it's only looking like a couple of weeks out. So that's a massive plus for us as well. But it is paid off. And I mean, fans were calling for it for ages.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all called for Ozil, but now he looks like he's on the way out.
Yeah.
And I mean, Emil Smith-Rowe's coming in, he really is looking like he could be that man for the next few seasons. And hopefully, obviously, he got the goal in the FA Cup. Hopefully, he can build on that. I mean, he's got 2 assists in the Premier League in just 3 games already. So I think he's going to be the key player to look at for the game. Sort of the one that can create that chance. And I mean, if Aubameyang can get on the scoring form he was in last season, then I think we'll have no problems.
I don't particularly want to single out one particular player, and there's no agenda on the show. I can assure you that, but Willian dropping out the side.
I knew you were going to say that. We've seen how poor he's been.
Yeah.
Awful signing. I thought, well, when he first signed, I didn't think it was too bad a signing on a free. Thought he could be a useful player, especially a useful squad player. For depth. Yeah. But I mean, he just is so poor. He don't create anything. He don't do anything. He gets the ball and it's just sideways, or he tries to take. He can't even beat his man.
No.
And I mean, he's looking a shadow of his Chelsea days, isn't he?
Yeah.
I know last season a lot of Chelsea fans were happy to see him gone, and I can see why now. I mean, he's just looking a complete waste of money.
But I think I'm talking as a non-Arsenal fan here. I think you've really turned the corner. I think bringing the likes of Martinelli and I think Martinelli would have been playing if he weren't injured.
100%.
But him coming back and Smith Rowe. I saw Smith Rowe play against Coventry in the Checker Trade Trophy, and he completely tore us to shreds.
Oh,
your under 23s are absolutely brilliant. I think the 3 goal scorers that night were Willock and Nketiah and Smith Rowe.
I mean, look at all first team players now.
Yeah, and I've followed his progress ever since. I think he's a really, really good player, and things looking much more rosy for Arsenal now.
I think another player just to add in the mix there is Lacazette. I mean,
Lacazette I've been really impressed with this season.
His goal scoring the past 5 games, but it's just his hold up play. Sort of how he got the assist for Emil Smith-Rowe, and he's obviously coming on as a sub, and it's just his overall play on the ball now. He's picking the right pass now. He's holding it up brilliantly, and I think that's what he's improving in his game. And I think he's our starting striker for 100% now.
Yeah. Again, just quickly before we move on, Tierney, I've really been impressed with. Brilliant signing. But like I said, things looking a lot more rosy for Arsenal now. I think you are going to turn up this weekend. I think, I don't particularly like saying this because I've got a lot of time for Newcastle United, but I can't see it getting any better for them. I think you're going to win 4-0.
I'm going to say 2-0. Obviously, seeing the sort of the preview the other week, I know they're not going to. I don't think they're going to lay back and we're not going to score many. But I still think we'll turn them over. So let's say 2-0.
See, I'll say 4-0 because I honestly think Steve Bruce is going to cave into the pressure and try and play a bit more expansive. But and I think you'll score a few goals off the back of that. But that's just my prediction.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a convincing win. Next up, we've got Leeds versus Brighton. The return of Ben White to Elland Road. 2 teams who've been quite good to watch this season, Leeds v Brighton. I think that could be quite a good game.
Yeah, and like I say, two teams that are really in need of a win. I say that Leeds are obviously safe, but after that Crawley performance, they'll be looking to bounce back from that pretty sharpish. But like I said, Brighton again, one of the teams I've enjoyed watching this season. Been unlucky at times, and no, I think it's definitely going to be, and Ben White being the big talking point, I think.
Touching on Brighton, I watched the game last night, and how many times are we going to say, "Oh, Brighton were really unlucky"? There's no good. There's no good saying that if you're not getting the results.
Like I say, unlucky teams don't stay up.
We've said that before.
Yeah, they need to start scoring.
You have to credit the way Brighton try and play football. You know, they're a nice team to watch. I think they're a likeable bunch of players. Got a very likeable manager. I think they're quite a harmless, likeable football club. But I can see Brighton getting relegated because it's all well and good playing really well, giving a good account of yourself. But if you're not going to get the results, then
results
it's completely pointless. I'm sure if you offered Brighton the way Burnley play in Premier League survival, they'd snap your hand off for that. So Leeds Brighton, my prediction is 2-0 to Leeds.
I want to say 1-0 Brighton.
I think it's a bit of a result.
Yeah.
Right, so final game we're going to talk about this weekend. West Ham versus Burnley at the London Stadium, the Battle of the Clarets. I mean, no disrespect to West Ham or Burnley, but I can't particularly see this being the most enthralling matchup.
Definitely not looking forward to it.
No, West Ham, their last game in the Premier League was an away win at Everton. They're actually undefeated in 3, but they drew with Brighton, drew with Southampton, and then beat Everton away. West Ham know how to grind results out.
Yeah, and like I say, they're playing well this season. Souček's been brilliant for them. I think he's their top goal scorer, and he's one that played. I think he's brilliant to watch. Brilliant in the air, and I mean, off a corner, it's deadly having him in the box. But like I say, playing really well this season.
Yeah, Burnley are finally starting to come into it a little bit now. I said that Burnley, this could be their year to go, but I'm going to revise that statement. I think Burnley will now stay up because I think, they gave Man United a tough game the other night and they're starting to pick up some results.
Yeah, I think sort of the big turning point for that was the game at the Emirates.
Yeah.
Didn't even score and beat us. But they were looking awful at that point. In the bottom 3, everyone's saying this could be the season, like I say, for them to go down, and they've turned it round. Like I say, they don't play nice stuff, do they?
No.
But it works from year in year out, and only Sean Dyche could do that.
I think when anybody speaks about Burnley, they just go back to Sean Dyche and say what a job he's doing, and I think again you can't knock Sean Dyche and Burnley as much as turgid and boring as it can be to watch at times.
It gets the point.
It works for them, and I'm quite interested to see how Burnley progress because they've just been taken over. Apparently, there's a new investor coming in who's looking to give Sean Dyche a bit of money. I'd be interested to see if Burnley stay up this season, how they progress.
Yeah, who they'd sign.
Well, yeah. I'm gonna go Burnley to win 1-0 here.
I'm gonna go draw, and do you know what? I'm gonna go for a bit of a goals fest. 2-2.
2-2.
Especially in a game like that.
Goal prediction. You never know. Right, so we've covered the FA Cup and the Premier League. Now we're going to dip into the EFL. Let's start off in the Championship. Let's talk about Watford. Watford gave Manchester United a very good game at the weekend, but in the league, Watford have kind of been struggling recently.
Well, won one of the last 3, losing the other 2. But no, like you say, I expect a lot more from Watford this season. Especially some of the players that they kept, Deeney, Sarr. Sarr being the main one.
Yeah. João Pedro.
Yeah. But no, I think they've been really disappointing this season in context of the squad they've got. But no, like I say, they did give United a really good game.
Yeah.
I thought United would turn them over, but no. Played well, so hopefully they might be able to build on that.
The thing is with Watford, they've always been the same. Watford will just chop and change managers. I think they brought in Vladimir Ivic at the start of the season, and they're in the top 6. They were getting results, but there was something not right about Vladimir Ivic at Watford, and they phased him out and they brought in Javi Munoz, who I don't even know what to say because I've never heard of him.
I mean, that's the thing with Watford, isn't it? They always bring an unknown foreign manager from anywhere, and it's like, well, we don't know anything about him, we don't know what he's like. But I mean, it's worked in the past.
There's a lot of frustration around Watford amongst their fan base at the minute. Ben Foster is actually coming in for quite a lot of criticism from Watford's fans. Daniel Batchman played at Manchester United at the weekend, their backup goalie, and had a very good game by all accounts. And there's actually calls from Watford fans that Batchman should be promoted to number 1. Ben Foster, he's been a fantastic servant, but do you think there is justification from Watford fans?
I think a lot of it comes from sort of his YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you watch them.
I
don't watch them religiously. I stick them on at times, and I can sort of see where they're coming from because when they lose,
it does put a target on Ben Foster. I mean, Troy Deeney was his own teammate Troy Deeney, very vocal about it, saying it puts a target on his back. It does the team talk for.
Well, you look at the Jamal Lowe.
Yeah, exactly.
The celebration, looking at the GoPro. I mean, personally, it's probably different if it was my own team's goalkeeper. Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with it.
See,
I can see why.
Yeah, if I was a Watford fan, I wouldn't want to be seeing that. Don't get me wrong, Ben Foster strikes me as a really top bloke.
I've met him. He's one of the nicest people you'll meet in football. Absolutely brilliant bloke. So that's why I haven't got anything bad to say about him.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not slating Ben Foster here, but if I was a Watford fan, it's not what I'd want to be seeing.
No,
personally.
No.
Especially when he's saying stuff on Twitter like, "Oh, shall I include Jamal Lowe's goal celebration in my?"
I mean, you look at the amount of likes that it gets as well.
It does put a target on his back. But Watford, they've got Huddersfield this weekend, which should be an interesting game. Swansea City currently 2nd in the league. They've been in the Championship for how many years now?
Since
2017-18 they got relegated, so this is their 3rd season in the Championship. Made the playoffs last season, currently in the top 2. Swansea City, they've always tried to play some nice football, and I think they're in for a strong end to the season. They've got Barnsley this weekend, who've been on good form themselves.
Yeah, I mean, Barnsley have been one of them. They've shocked everyone in the Championship. I think last season as well, I think they played some good football.
Yeah.
I mean, we were at the game at the Riverside.
Yeah.
I mean, Borough were playing awful. They got the result, Borough did, but I thought Barnsley were the better team and didn't play that bad football. But no, it's really showing this season. And but no, they have shocked a lot of people. I mean, 9th in the table.
Yeah.
And like you say, I mean, they'd have been happy with
staying up. Probably.
Yeah, well, exactly.
I mean, that's it's going to be a good game, Barnsley versus Swansea. It's on the TV, I think. So that will be one to watch. Swansea play some lovely stuff under Steve Cooper. Again, another televised fixture in the Championship this weekend, down the road from us at the Riverside. Middlesbrough playing Birmingham City. Middlesbrough mixed bag recently, losing to Sheffield Wednesday, but they beat Wickham, and they had their issues with COVID last week, and they gave themselves a good account at Brentford.
Yeah, I mean, I personally didn't watch the game, but I've heard from fans that they deserve the win. And I mean, against a team like Brentford, it's obviously a positive sign.
They played Birmingham, who just can't seem to buy a win at the minute.
Well, I mean, it was only the other week 4-1.
Yeah.
And that was at St Andrews, wasn't it? So
yeah.
I mean, Borough, I think they'll crack on with another win.
Yeah, I saw Karanka returning to the Riverside.
Yeah.
A lot of frustration. I know a lot of Birmingham fans, and they're not happy with the way they're playing. I think.
They're 4 points off the bottom 3.
Yeah, I mean, we're above them in the league, and I think many people, when I saw Karanka got appointed, were tipping Birmingham to make a run at the playoffs. But I think, Birmingham, I think it's of the last 7 seasons, all but 2 of them they've survived on the final day of the season, and that's not sustainable for me.
I mean, bringing in a manager like Karanka, you'd have thought it would have had a much more positive impact than it has.
You look at Birmingham, they've had who've they had over the years? Harry Redknapp, Gary Rowett, Gary Monk. They're not all bad managers. The club, for me, and I don't like saying this because I've got family who support Birmingham City. I've got lots of good friends who support Birmingham City. I don't like saying this, but they are a complete basket case of a football club. I think I don't think Karanka will see the season out. I can see you getting fed up already. You look at the result against Derby the other week, and I think after it was really very prickly in his post-match interview. I'm not saying Birmingham are going to go down, but they need to
get some results.
They need to get some results, but look, it's just not sustainable. If you keep knocking on the door of relegation, you're gonna fall through the trapdoor eventually.
Well, eventually,
yeah. Birmingham City struggling quite a lot this season. Be interesting to see how that game pans out at the weekend. Derby County are a club in an absolute mess at the minute. I think they've had COVID hit them, but last night news broke that this takeover that was meant to be happening looks like it could fall through, and I think the threat of administration is actually looming on Derby at the minute. I think they've got Rotherham this weekend, which is a massive game. I do fear for Derby County. I feel that they could drop through the trapdoor.
If Rotherham win, they go above them in the league. That'll put Derby second bottom in the league, and I think, they've just appointed what it's looking like Wayne Rooney, new manager. Personally, I don't know if he's good enough. There's this obsession with sort of brilliant footballers getting managerial jobs. It's worked out sort of with Gerrard at Rangers, which we'll come on to. But I'm not sure what the obsession is, and I think that could be quite costly for them. He's been playing this season as well. I don't know if you've watched him. What have you thought to him playing? I've not.
He's shown. He's obviously not the player.
He's always
shown flashes of brilliance, but
he's past it in my opinion.
Yeah,
as a player,
I don't think he'll play again. I think
I
think his playing days are over. But we played Derby the other week. They didn't look very good, and like I say, with all the off the field stuff that's going on now, it looked like they were going to get this takeover. We don't know what's happening with that. If they go into administration, points deduction, that'll be them
done
gone
for the season.
Final few things we're going to talk about in the Championship. QPR, who were struggling, they made a very astute signing earlier in the window, bringing Charlie Austin back to the club. What a player to have! Scored on his debut.
Like I say, he's a brilliant striker for Championship, and he's shown it over the years. He's shown he can do it in the Prem, especially at QPR. What a brilliant signing! And when you need goals, what a man to bring in for it.
Oh yeah, exactly. With West Brom struggling for goals at the minute, I was quite scratching my head as to why they wouldn't give him a chance.
He was coming off the bench, wasn't he?
But QPR. They've not had a good season. Again, another team that we're above in the league. But
they lost a big player.
Yeah, exactly. But with Charlie Austin going back, I think QPR will fire up the league.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely be safe.
Bournemouth playing Luton, which Bournemouth again, another club like Watford. Really, they're not. They're third in the league, but you'd expect Bournemouth
to be last night.
Yeah, they drew to Millwall. I think it was the other night.
Yeah,
that don't matter.
Yeah,
but. Bournemouth, you'd expect Bournemouth to be up there. They've got Luton at home this weekend. A win there. Luton have really, their form's dropped
now. You look at Bournemouth's squad. Solanke's starting to. He's probably found his level. He's on double figures in the league now, I believe. Like I say, I think they'll turn them over.
Yeah.
We all know what Luton's recent problem's been, don't we?
Yeah, well,
the drop of a certain man.
Yeah. And then, what was I going to talk about just then? It was Norwich playing Cardiff. Norwich, top of the league. It's always the same with Norwich in the Championship, isn't it? They're always
they're a yo-yo club, aren't they?
Way too good for the Championship, but not good enough for the Premier League. And it looks like they're 5 points clear. They're probably going to go up again.
They've got a player in Buendia. I think he's fantastic.
Very good.
He's Premier League quality. it says levels when a club like Arsenal's coming in.
Yeah.
And fantastic to watch. He's just got that South American flair, and like I say, way too good for the level. And I think if they hold on to him this January, they've got no doubt of winning the league.
So yeah, I think Cardiff v Norwich could be a very good game in the Championship this weekend. Our game against Sheffield Wednesday has fell to Sheffield Wednesday's COVID issues. We're not playing this weekend, which I'm not really too fussed about because the players at the minute look completely knackered. I think they could do with a rest. It would have been a big game as well for us.
Probably a must-win, really.
I'd say I must not lose.
Yeah.
Instead of a must win, but if we would have won, it would have pulled us away from the bottom.
It'd have been a big win for you, yeah.
But
it's put you 10 points clear.
Yeah, we've got Liam Kelly, Tyler Walker, and Matty Godden all injured at the minute. So I wasn't particularly too confident going into the game. So if that gets rearranged for a time when they're fit, then I'd be happy with that. So we're going to move into League One. Then we're going to talk about a club that's very close to home for you.
It is.
His actual home, not this.
Not here, yeah.
Lincoln City, who are absolutely flying.
Yeah, no, really pleased for it at the minute. Say top of the league, and hopefully they can continue the form. I mean, they the past couple of seasons since they got promotion from League One, I believe, from League Two. Sorry, I believe the first season they were top of the league. I think after 10 games, and they dropped off. And I thought it might happen again this season, but no, like I say, they've looked to continue it. And I mean, you look at some of the teams in League One. I mean, Portsmouth, Peterborough, Sunderland, Hull. I mean, they're not bad sides.
No.
I mean, Doncaster Rovers, we've got to give them a mention.
Yeah. We'll come on to Doncaster in a sec.
But no, like you say, they're absolutely flying, and I'm really pleased for them this season.
Yeah, and Lincoln, I think they've got some excellent players in their squad. I think I really like Lewis McDonald, who's a central defender, who's quite a goal scorer, to be fair. Robbie Gotts, I'm known from Leeds, looks like he's been a really good signing.
They got Tom Hopper up top.
Tom Hopper, George Grant.
I've seen him play. I think he's played well this season.
Yeah, he's having a good season.
I mean, I've seen him play at both Notts County and at Mansfield, and he wasn't the player when I watched him at Mansfield that I'd seen him at Notts County. He showed glimpses, but no, like I say, he's taken a step up into League One, permanently there at Lincoln now, and like I say, having a good season.
And then a final player I want to talk about, only 19 years old, he's having a cracking season. Brennan Johnson for Lincoln City. He seems to be scoring quite a few goals. I think he's definitely a player to keep an eye on in the future. When anyone talks about League One, it's kind of impossible. There's such a big talking point in that league. It's impossible to not dwell on Sunderland. Lee Johnson, bought in just before Christmas. They fell to COVID for a few games. Drew with Hull last weekend, but Lee Johnson, they're 3 points off the playoffs with 19 games played. League One's so the teams have got games in hand on so many other teams.
Yeah,
there's so many games getting called off.
Oh, with COVID, I mean, it's really having a massive effect.
But, Sunderland, they just draw too many games, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone says every year they think Sunderland's year they're going to go up, and it's not happening for them at the minute. And I mean, you'll be happy seeing them stay there.
No comment on that.
But no, like you say, they draw too many. I wouldn't say they lose.
They don't lose
a large amount of games.
Well, what they've got, they've lost 3, won 7, but drew 9. That's the most.
You can't go up.
It's the most in the top half.
Yeah, I mean, drawing that many games, I mean, they're losing too many points. I mean, I'd say a point against Hull is a good point.
Yeah, Hull, we'll talk about in a second, actually, but
it's a bad patch.
Yeah.
Form, aren't they, Hull?
I do think Lee Johnson will turn things around at Sunderland.
He's a good manager for a League One level, yeah.
Hull City, second in the league, like you say, hit a bit of a bad patch, but they've got some players there. I look at Keane Lewis Potter, Louis Coyle, good players, and I think it was a very bold move to stick by Grant McCann after the capitulation that they had in the Championship last season.
Well, I think losing 2 massive players,
yeah.
2 main players, was their downfall last season by a mile. I mean, they were miles off relegation, and I mean, look what happened when they lost them. I mean, it's just, I mean, who would have thought they'd have gone down from it, really?
No.
But no, like I say, I thought they'd have walked the league this year. I mean, they're not. They're sat in second, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, hit a rough patch recently. They started off brilliantly.
Every team will hit a rough patch.
But they've got the players.
Yeah, they've got a really good squad there. I say Keane Lewis Potter. Again, Malik Wilkes, really good player in League One. So another team we're going to talk about, complete dark horse, Accrington Stanley, 6th in the league.
And with games in hand.
Games in hand as well. They've got 3 games in hand on 33 points, 5 points behind the top 2. John Coleman, what a job he does at Accrington. You know, he got him out of League 2, got him into League 1, and you know, Accrington, no disrespect to are a very...
They're known for the advert, which was way before our time, wasn't it? So it'd be a massive job to get him in. I mean, it'd be like Wickham, sort of last season. I think a lot of teams...
on a smaller scale, to be
fair. I mean, they were non-league, but too many years back. And like I say, brilliant job he's doing. And I mean, if they did you say 3 games in hand on the top 2?
Beat Charlton last week as well, which is a team in and around them. So they're getting the results against teams that are up there. I mean, I look at Accrington. There's a player he come from Leamington, which is just outside of Coventry. Colby Bishop, who's been a really good signing for them. One final team we are going to talk about, friend of the show, Mr. Coffinger, Doncaster Rovers in 4th.
Can't not.
In 4th, 2 games in hand on tied on Accrington. They're 4th, but they're tied on Accrington with 33 points. 2 games in hand. Good win in the FA Cup against Blackburn. I think Doncaster are gonna solidify in the playoffs. I can't see them getting top 2, but I think they'll probably be in the playoffs.
Just lost a key player to Preston in Ben
Whiteman, who's just gone this morning, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, I was recording, but hopefully that doesn't affect them too much. Hopefully they keep up the good form. It's nice to see Tyrese John-Jules, scoring a couple of goals. Hopefully having a successful loan spell, and hopefully they can crack on and get back to the Championships. It'd be nice to see him back in there.
Yeah, I really like Darren Moore as well. So
cracking manager.
He's really top bloke by what I've heard. So I'd be happy to see him do well. Joey Barton left Fleetwood last week. Can you see a future for him in management?
I think he did an alright job with Fleetwood, in my opinion. I mean, people forget Fleetwood not that many years ago were non-league when Jamie Vardy obviously was there. I think it's just his attitude, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
he had the bust up at Barnsley, and everyone knows what he's like.
Yeah,
but no, I think he's a good manager. I mean, you'd listen to him, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
you wouldn't want
to get on the wrong side of him.
No. So it's just which team would be willing to take a risk with him, really, because I think in a way it is a risk.
Yeah, definitely. I do see a future for management. I think he's like a Marmite carrot. I like Joey Barton, don't get me wrong. But we'll see how things work. That 2 final things I want to talk about in League One very quickly. Jimmy Floyd back at Burton Albion.
Yeah.
They are looking, they've played 3 games extra than the teams above them.
They're not looking good.
Too little too late for me at Burton. Jimmy Floyd has about coming back in. I think it'll definitely be a rebuilding job if he chooses to stick with them in League 2, I think.
Well, I think that's sort of the plan, getting them in now. I mean, they're 5 points off.
I mean, they appointed Jake Buxton at the start of the season, which was a risk in itself, and it's not paid off. And I think Jimmy Floyd will probably want to, he's probably accepted that they're probably going to go down, and he'll rebuild them in League 2.
Well, I think they'll probably go. Well, I mean, we said that about Bolton at the start of the season, didn't we? And I mean, look how it's gone for them. I mean, it is a tough ask to get him back up, but probably got the one at right men for the job.
He's done it before.
Yeah, exactly.
Finally, one in League One. One last player I want to talk about from Rochdale. It's called Quado Bar. He plays for Rochdale. He's having an absolutely unbelievable season. He scored a brilliant goal at Charlton in the week, and he's definitely a player to watch out for. He's a few teams been sniffing around him.
Cracking game.
Yeah, really good.
Who would have thought 8-goal thriller?
I know, but just want to touch upon that. Quado Bar, Rochdale. Remember the name. Right, League 2. We're going to talk about very quickly. Mansfield Town, again a club that you know very well.
Yeah.
Seems to be picking up under Nigel Clough.
Yeah, I mean it's brilliant acquisition as bringing him in as a manager. I mean we all know what he can do. I mean especially at that level, to bring him in at League 2, they needed it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, from the season I was there, should have gone up.
Yeah.
And last season was poor. This season started off. I mean, in and around the relegation.
Yeah.
I mean,
the amount of money that they're throwing at
squad. Well. Yeah. I mean, John Bradford, the money he puts in, like you say, you wouldn't be expecting to be there. But I mean, bringing in, like you say, a manager like Clough, he's always going to turn it around. They were unlucky in
good
in
win last night as well.
Yeah, I mean that makes it 4 league wins in a row. Yeah. Like I say, I mean at the start of the season, you would have thought that the playoffs were a massive ask. The 5 points off Crawley in 7th, it's not impossible.
No.
And I mean, if they can continue the form and build on it, they've got a decent squad. I can't see why they couldn't chase the playoffs.
No,
hopefully it doesn't go like the other season against Newport.
But and then League Two, Carlisle United, top of the league. Our housemate who decided not to come back to university, Jake, is from Carlisle, and they're having a really good season. Carlisle, Chris Beach has come in and done a really good job. John Mellish, we talk about, seems to be a bit of a goal scorer for him,
and into midfield. Yeah,
Joshua Kayode as well seems to be having a good season. So it's good to see Carlisle top of the league. I think they'll stick up there as well because they're quite a nice team to watch. And you've got Newport second, who gave Brighton a good game.
Yeah, I mean they always turn up in the FA Cup. They're now turning up. Sort of,
they're
always in the playoffs, but I mean, sort of getting the automatics, it'd be a massive thing for them to go up.
But you look at League Two, and you look at two teams who are really struggling. Bolton and Bradford. Massive clubs for that level.
Yeah, well, like I say, both ex-Prem. I mean, you had Bolton as winners of the league.
I did have Bolton as well.
I thought some of the signings they made, Owen Wilson coming in.
Wow, who've they just brought in? They've brought in Owen Doyle.
Owen Wilson. I'm thinking of the actor.
Yeah, Owen Wilson.
But no, like I said, Owen Doyle, brilliant strike.
Just brought in Kieran Lee from Sheffield
Wednesday.
Sheffield Wednesday. That's it. Which is a good sign. Bolton really should be doing much better than they are. Declan John as well, left back, and then Bradford. Massive club at that level, need to be doing better. I think they're looking at Derek Adams from Morecambe as their new manager, which probably wouldn't be a bad appointment.
I mean, Morecambe, again, that's a team that shot.
Yeah, he's got Morecambe up there. I think he's Bucky's favourite for the job. So if that comes to fruition, I can see Bradford picking up. But it just goes to show League Two is such a difficult league.
It changes year in year out.
I've seen us in League Two. It was grim. Clubs like Bolton and Bradford, they're the teams to beat at that level. They're a big scalp for your likes of your Morecambes and your Barrows and your Stevenages. Just goes to show that if you drop into that league, it's not a given that you're going to come back up.
But that's it. 2 nice grounds as well.
Yeah, very nice.
If there was fans there to visit, but
right, Scotland. We're going to go head north of the border now. What a terrible season Celtic are having.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I mean we'll talk about that Dubai trip and how stupid was that. I mean, in the middle of a pandemic, going over for
what's the name?
And the player that brings COVID is injured.
Yeah.
I mean, I seen a picture of him walking up. They were making him walk upstairs with crutches, and it's like so poorly run at the minute. And like I say, awful. I mean, this would it have been 10?
This would
10 in a row?
have been the 10th.
Yeah.
The 10th one for Celtic.
I mean, Rangers have just come in, and I mean, how fantastic have they been?
We'll talk about Rangers in a sec, but I want to comment on the Celtic trip to Dubai, and I just want to say how much of a kick in the teeth is it, to fans that they're being asked to stay at home and then they can go and swan off over to Dubai. I can't believe they've organised it. I can't believe the Scottish government even considered letting Nicholas. This isn't a politics show. Nicholas Sturgeon's been very strict.
Stricter than England have been.
Exactly, she's been very strict with the COVID protocols, and I can't believe she's allowed. They got permission off the Scottish government to go, and I can't believe that they allowed it. But if I was a Celtic fan, I'd be absolutely livid. The 10th, for some reason, winning 10 leagues in a row is such a big deal up in Scotland.
Yeah.
And they've completely folded.
You'd
be absolutely gutted. Yeah. They got knocked out of the Champions League by Ferencvaros.
Yeah.
And then they were pitiful in the Europa League.
I thought I watched both AC Milan games, and I genuinely thought that they didn't play that bad in either of them. I mean, the thing is, like I say, that the way they've been playing in the league. I mean, we've watched a few games. I mean, against Rangers, they were awful.
Yeah.
They've been really poor. I mean, it's one of them teams you always just expect them to go and win the league. It's almost like a given. So it's nice to see another team. Yeah, and I mean they're not even. I mean Aberdeen behind them. They're only about 5 points off. I mean that must be the first. They're usually about 20 points clear at this point.
I mean the thing is with Celtic, I think they don't spend much money.
No.
That's why Brendan Rodgers left. I don't think he saw a long-term future at Celtic, and it just so happens that the first season that Rangers are decent, they've fell behind. I think this has been a disaster. I think it's been waiting to happen for Celtic.
I think it's a bit harsh on Rangers to talk about how poor
have
been.
Come on.
But yeah,
that's a fair point. We'll come on to Rangers now because in the interest of fairness, they've been absolutely brilliant.
They haven't lost in the league all season.
No, I think they've only conceded 6 goals. They've not lost. They've been brilliant in Europe. It just seems to be a club where everything's going right at the minute.
I mean, we were on about earlier, sort of bringing in ex-players, but I think Steven Gerrard, one of the success stories from that.
Definitely.
Like I say, last season he had them playing brilliantly anyway.
Yeah.
And this season they've just built upon it, and I mean James Tavernier, that's one of the standout players.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
Nearly on
How
20
many goals
from
right
back. I mean, I know he's on set pieces, but it's still fantastic going.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, like I say, just so their defence. I mean, look at James Tavernier, Connor Goldson. Who else?
Barry Satch.
Yeah, I mean, I like to say just fantastic. And I mean, they've got likeable characters in the team.
Oh,
I mean,
Alan McGregor in goal for me is absolutely brilliant. I can't believe he's never.
Morelos.
No disrespect to Scottish football. I can't believe he never made much of a career down in England, McGregor, because I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper.
I mean,
Glenn Kamara is a player you may be familiar of.
Yeah,
he's having an absolutely brilliant season.
I'm happy for him playing well. I mean, since he's been at Rangers, he's played well. But like I say, built upon this season, he's been fantastic. And another, you forget they've got played Jermaine Defoe. He's on the bench.
Players have on the bench.
Yeah, I mean Morelos though, and Ryan Kent as well.
Yeah,
another player.
Hadji.
Yeah, they've just got a wealth of fantastic players, and we talk about the level, and I mean you can talk about how poor the competition is, but definitely. I mean the level of players they've got for the competition around them is just fantastic.
Royal Antwerp in the next round of the Europa League for Rangers. I think they're going to give them. I think they're going to win.
I think you've got to remember Royal Antwerp turned over Spurs. I think that
over 2 legs. I think Rangers will get through.
I still think they'll get through. But I mean you can't write Antwerp off.
No.
I mean they've got Mbakani up top.
Faris Aruna as well.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I still think Rangers will go through. But
final thing we're going to touch upon in Scotland is a prediction. Do you give Celtic any chance?
No. I mean, I know they've got the 3 games in hand, but what are they? 20 points behind? 21 points behind.
Well, one of their games in hand was the other night, and they lost.
I mean, put it this way.
They drew, sorry, to
They win the 3 games in hand. I mean, what's that put? 13? 12
points.
Not
maths ain't the strong
point. 12 points behind. I mean,
and they've got to play Rangers again.
Yeah, and I can't see them beating Rangers in the way they've been playing.
But yeah, so it looks like the shorter race is pretty much over in Scotland. Could be wrong. That could come back to bite us on the backside, but it looks very unlikely.
The way it's looking.
Right. So, final part of the show is going to be a bit of a social and moral debate about whether football should actually be happening at the minute. We've been very lucky since the first lockdown that the government have been quite lenient on football. Do you believe that it is morally right for sport to be happening at the minute?
In my opinion, it should be carrying on. I think people say it's just a game, but everything around the game, I mean, you look how much it does for people's mental health. I mean, if it's stopped, I mean, I just think it's so vital, also in like the community and everything, just everything around the sport, it is essential in my opinion. I'm not saying that the kicking of the ball is essential, but when you actually look into like the wider picture, that's where, to me, it comes into essential. But like I say, I know it is debate of why can they carry on, and obviously I know because they're travelling all around the country, all around Europe for Champions League, Europa League, and it is. I can see why people want it stopped, because the thing is, you've got all the testing in the world. I mean, with how fast they say it as far as spreads, I mean, on a football pitch, you're never going to stand 2 metres away from anyone, no matter indoors, outdoors, you know what I mean? But no, I, in my opinion, it should be stopped. But I mean, you'll probably share the same opinion.
Yeah, I'm a massive advocate for football carrying on. I believe it can and will get through this time that we're living in. But what doesn't help our cause is players effectively, you can bleep this out if you want, taking the piss.
No, I mean that's the right way to say it.
Yeah, that's the only way you can say it. You know, I think they're in a very privileged position, don't get me wrong, and I just feel like it's a bit of an insult if they're not abiding by the rules.
I mean, they are role models in society.
Well, they are. They might not want to be, but they are. You know, I think Benjamin Mendy, Jack Grealish, Kyle Walker.
I mean, even Lanzini,
Mitrovic, Milivojevic. They're not helping our. We want football to carry on. But what do we do on a Saturday? We sit round, we watch each other's teams play. We'd be lost without that. I think we'd be bored out of our box.
We'd be watching the virtual football,
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the levels it comes to.
But so obviously we're massive advocates of football carrying on, but I don't think these people are helping our case.
No, 100% not. But and I think that sort of has like we're going with the role models. I think they're all on about people not abiding by the rules, and I genuinely think when you look at these football stars, whether they like it or not, they are role models. I mean, to go out of football, you look at like celebrities, people in the government, when they're not abiding by the rules and they're, like you say, taking the piss, it's sort of, people think, well, if they can do it, why am I any different?
Exactly.
I mean, we're all the same at the end of the day. Well, they're not any different to us, and I think that's sort of where that comes into it. And like you say, I think if they keep taking the mick with it and they're having these parties and meeting up with people and going to Dubai, like I say, I mean, how stupid. There's a risk of it being stopped. Of course there is.
Totally,
I mean, you look at the massive outbreaks. There's been Shrewsbury, Derby, Sheffield Wednesday now. I mean, Villa. I mean, the list is endless, really, of teams that have had COVID outbreaks. I mean, if that many teams get, there's only, you're going to have to stop it for a bit.
I do think as well, if you were to stop it, we were very lucky last year that the Euros was flexible. I can't see UEFA shifting it again.
No. I mean, well, you've got to play the World Cup.
Exactly.
You can't play the World Cup and the Euros in the same year.
What do we do?
I mean, I think they'll end up, at the minute, if it stays as it is, it'll be played, unfortunately, without fans. Whether they might let in a few thousand, but it's the mixing of people from all over the world. All over Europe, sorry. And I think that's just the main issue of it.
But yeah, massive advocates of football staying on. You know, they've introduced rapid testing and mass testing into the EFL, which can hopefully identify a few of the outbreaks that we're seeing and put a stop to them. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get through this period and we can carry on having a sport to watch.
Yeah, but no, like we mentioned previously, the stuff it does for mental health. Mental health, obviously, with the lockdowns and everything, it's a massive thing at the minute. It's a massive thing within football. I mean, like we said, we saw the other week the tragic passing of the Manchester City footballer Jeremy Whiston, who took his own life, who, like I say, played for Manchester City as a youth player. We actually spoke to former Morecambe and Hartlepool youth player Lewis McDonald on his experiences on mental health and what he thinks can be done to improve it within football.
At the academy, I don't think anything was done about mental health. I was there from the age of 8 to 16, and you're looking about 10 years ago. I don't think mental health in football was as a bigger thing then as it is now. You've obviously got the problems that's going on with the former Man City player who's committed suicide, but back then nothing was mentioned about your mental health. You were just left to get your own devices. Back then, I was relying on school teachers to help me get through. Obviously, when I was released, I was going through my exams at the time, so it was a hard situation to deal with, being told, pardon me, you're not good enough to then go and sit an exam the next day.
So what more do you think that clubs could do for their academy players' mental health?
There could be regular workshops about looking after their mental health, spotting signs and stuff. Could be just even the coaches pulling them aside and just saying, look, are you okay? If not, well, then maybe once you're released from a club, there's obviously, you go to trial days, but there could be links or booklets to help you deal with it mentally.
Thanks to Lewis McDonald for his thoughts on the matter. That's all we've got time for on the show today. Hopefully in a few weeks' time we can get in the studio and get ourselves on air, but for now we're having to make do with what we've got at home, with no equipment. Proper makeshift.
Yeah, a bit
setup.
Of a makeshift studio. Improvisation.
It's
skills,
not quite
10 out of
match
10.
of the day, is it?
No.
We're using a glue stick and a pack of cards to keep the phone up. But no, like I say, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Thank you very much for listening, and hopefully we'll catch you in the episode next week.
In a bit.